Chief Michael Davis from the Brooklyn Park Police Department.
Thank you, Bryce. You're not the first one that got this. It only happens maybe on a every other day basis. This is great. 3.5 years ago, Wade Setter and I started a discussion that led us here today. And this is...
It took us 3 years to get here. 3 years to sit in this circle and talk about the issues. But it was 3 years of bridge building to get here. So.
We're on question number 1 right now.
Back 3.5 years ago, we needed to get today. I mean, our whole goal here is to build better relations between the multicultural communities in Brooklyn Center and Brooklyn Park. And we do that in a variety of different ways. We do that through competency education for our employees, as well as providing competency education and opportunities for our communities. And we have an infrastructure with our community liaison officers, our cadets, that helps move us towards our goals, our strategies, and our action plans. This year we embarked on a new endeavor to sit down, to problem solve, to discuss some issues that sometimes are not comfortable. But the overall, at the end, the overall goal is to provide a safer community for both Brooklyn Center and Brooklyn Park. And that's where we're at today. And that's the level that we need to be at today. We need to bring honest, open discussion, communication to this circle. And from here, we need to take it to another level. And that level is getting it, pushing it down deeper into the communities, into all of our communities. Everybody here, I mean, if you really take a look at the discussion today, you're going to probably, gain a great deal. But there's more people out there that will benefit even further by your attendance. So I appreciate everybody being here today. I look forward to the great discussion. And again, Scott Bechtel, Brooklyn Center.
I echo what Scott has said. We have a great working relationship. I look forward to working with Brooklyn Center on a number of things as we move forward. I'm happy to be here for a number of reasons. I believe in these forums. I believe in this type of outreach. I believe in what it has accomplished thus far. But I have greater hopes and aspirations for what I believe it can accomplish in the future. Chief Bechtel and I had the opportunity to go to Washington, D.C. last week. We met with about 134 different police executives from around the world, and the topic of discussion was hotspots. Hotspots really as it relates to crime in neighborhoods. We identify areas where crime is pervasive in neighborhoods. And discussion centered around a lot of tactical things that police departments around the world are doing successfully. But the one common bridge, right, the one common message we left there with, 134 of us, was that community is how you get sustainable results. By working with the community, that's how you get sustainable results. Now, what does that look like? It takes a number of different faces depending upon the issues in the neighborhood, but you have to know what the issues in the neighborhood are, which is what this is about. First step is building relationships. Second step is identifying the issues in the neighborhood. The third step is working collaboratively, right, together to address those things. That's how you get sustainability. That's how you get the measurable results that we're looking for. Let me give you an illustration. I worked in the Phillips community in Minneapolis for 8 years. And at one point in time, that was considered to be perhaps one of the most dangerous neighborhoods in the mid-90s in the state. Now that's turned around. Now why is that? Is it because we hired more police officers? Not necessarily. Is it anything that the police did by themselves? No. What it took, right, is a community investment, a holistic approach, everyone understanding their role, identifying problems, setting measurable goals, right, and accomplishing those things. and it's a process, not a destination. Is the Phillips community free from crime? Absolutely not. But I guarantee you that the people that live there feel a whole lot more secure than they did 10 years ago because they're empowered. And that's what we're talking about. These dialogues, and as you go out and hope you're spreading this message, empower people to get involved. And we define what that means based on the problems in the individual neighborhoods. Let me give you another illustration. Within the Phillips community, there was this 4-block area, established area, had a block club, participated every year in a national night out, but they came to us in a panic last year, or 2 years ago, because a group of juveniles had taken over the community. A group of juveniles had committed assaults, had damaged the community garden they had put up together, they had damaged other property on dwellings and single-family homes and rental property, and it caused this air of fear in the neighborhood where people did not feel safe walking their dog or going out into the community, enjoying the garden they had built together. So the first step is that we sat down, right, and we discussed the issues, and they vented, and we listened. The second step is that we formulated a plan, holistic plan, in which the police department had a role, Hennepin County had a role, and the community had a role. The community's first role in this was to get us the information we need to move forward, right? Because we're not in the neighborhood all the time. Us driving through and community members having an in-depth knowledge of what's going on in their neighborhoods, two different things, right? So we relied on that information source. So we teamed up with probation. We had grassroots efforts with some social service entities, right? So we did some door knocking on some of the homes of these juveniles to figure out what's going on inside their homes. We set up events where some of these juveniles and some of the community members came out and they met and they discussed the issues in open forum, right? And that level of communication, right, began to instill a sense of security amongst the people that were very scared. And that's how sustainable results were built. So where's that neighborhood today? Here's where the neighborhood is at today. With the work with probation, with licensing and identifying rental properties in a swift and efficient manner, in dealing with those issues, and pulling in other members of important people that had something to contribute as far as perhaps a case study or some other example of what can be done, and their investment, this community meets today on a regular basis, absent the police, and they problem solve. The first meeting we had, around the table were people that were scared and only them. The last meeting we had before I left was property owners, were tenants, were homestead residents, members of the police department, were members of licensing, all talking about the next steps. And so they began to problem solve, and that's where we're at today. Is the area, crime free? Absolutely not. But they're a lot more secure and they're empowered. So as we leave here today, this is the mandate I want to set, right? Let's talk about the issues, talk about communication, talk about the things that we're doing well, but let's also talk about the things that we can do in our own community, right, to make it better. What is our role? What is your role? And let's provide some next steps. There's some challenges coming up in the summertime. We know this, with juveniles and some other issues. It's a very cyclical pattern. Let's begin to talk about the tangible next steps, the measurable next steps that we can all take together. Okay, so I encourage all of us to do that. I look forward to having these dialogues and things like it in the future. Again, one last thing I'll emphasize. This is a process, not a destination. Okay, we never get there. We just get better together. Thank you.
Well, good afternoon, everyone. My name is Monique Dreyer. Many of you are friends from the community, and we welcome you once again. My job is to just give you a brief overview of the dialogues up until this point. Our first event that we had was on January 12th. It was wonderful to be able to see the community members that came out, be able to talk about some of those tough issues that both of the chiefs alluded to. Our hope is to be able to build on those relationships and those foundations that we made in our previous 3 meetings, and to be able to go into a problem-solving mode, be able to look at those things and see what the community can do. How can we help the community be able to do that in a better way? With that being said, I'm going to have Julie come on. and she's going to talk about the cross-cultural dialogue.
Yes, thanks for all of you for being here today. I'm just going to tell you what the complementarity model is. That's the framework that we're going to use today. It's the United Way's cultural complementarity model. And what it is it creates this environment for us to all come together and talk about the assets that we have as a community, as a diverse community, and how each of those assets and resources can play a part in addressing the solutions. And so on this blue sheet in your agenda, you'll see it's the cultural complementarity model, and there's a little blurb about that. But just to give you a couple of the key items. So this is simply just a way to bring us together, and it can be used in many different settings and applied to many different actions for different issues. As a community, as we talk about this, we can use it for planning how we want to see change. And the key thing about this is when we come together is it's non-hierarchical. We all come as equals. Put aside your job description and see yourself as just a community member, and so that we're all in this together. A key thing that Chief Davis mentioned was this is about action. So hopefully that it's not just about change, but that this discussion will help focus the type of action we'll take as a community. And so think about the strengths you have, the action you want to take, and what can we as a community do as a new way of...
How can we all work together our community? So let's look at some highlights. So there are two key words here: encourage productive and respectful communication. So the key word is how do we encourage communication?